It was a rainy Wednesday afternoon when I stumbled across a video that stopped me in my tracks. A girl, maybe in her early 20s, sat in her dimly lit bedroom, tears rolling down her cheeks, speaking directly to the camera about how she felt unseen, unloved, and broken. Her eyeliner was smudged, the lighting was raw, and the music was just subtle enough to amplify the emotion. It felt real, it felt heavy. And then, seconds later, the screen cut to an upbeat transition. She smiled, wiped her tears dramatically, and ended the video with a perfectly framed shot of her sipping coffee while a caption read, "Healing is messy, but beautiful." That shift felt off. Not because people cannot be sad one moment and compose the next, but because something about it screamed performance. And I could not stop wondering, was this really about healing, or was it about attention? So I went down the rabbit hole. One video led to another, each one following the same structure. Emotional confession, vague advice, tearful eye contact, a perfectly chosen filter, and a seamless hook to a follow-up part 2. The deeper I went, the more I began to feel like I was not watching vulnerability. I was watching content. Packaged pain, curated chaos, and algorithm-optimized grief. Which leads us to the question no one wants to ask out loud. Is everyone just faking it for likes? Let us be honest. We live in a time where authenticity is currency. But ironically, that currency is being forged everywhere. People do not just share moments anymore, they perform them. A breakup is not just a personal crisis, it is a multi-part TikTok series. Anxiety is not just something you cope with, it's a trending aesthetic. Self-love is not something you build, it's something you market. And somewhere along the way, our definition of what is real started to blur. But why is this happening? What psychological force is driving this mass display of curated vulnerability? Let us dig in. At the core of it all is something deeply human, the need to be seen. We all want to matter. We want someone, anyone, to witness our struggle, our growth, our transformation. In an age where attention is fragmented, the fastest way to be seen is to be dramatic. Subtlety does not go viral. Quiet strength does not trend. Nuance rarely makes the algorithm happy. So what do people do? They perform pain. They amplify suffering. They exaggerate emotional states, not necessarily to deceive, but to survive in a digital world where the loudest pain gets the most love. It's not always malicious. Sometimes it's subconscious. A person might start sharing their depression online as a way to feel less alone, but over time they notice that certain phrases, certain expressions, certain tears get more engagement. And without even realizing it, they begin to adjust their story to match what the algorithm wants. This is not just speculation. Behavioral psychology supports it. There is something called social reward conditioning. It means our brains are hardwired to repeat behaviors that get us social approval. When someone gets 500 likes on a tearful confession video, their brain lights up. That approval becomes addictive. And soon, their identity begins to merge with their online persona. They are no longer just a person who once felt anxious. They are now the anxious girl on TikTok. And once that identity sets in, it becomes very hard to step away from it, even if the anxiety fades. Because now, your pain is your brand. And that is dangerous. Not just for the person posting, but for the people watching. When everyone online is sharing these perfectly packaged emotional journeys, it starts to warp how we see real life. Suddenly, healing must look aesthetic. Sadness must be poetic. Growth must be shareable. And if your journey does not look like that, you begin to question if you are doing it wrong. You start to feel like you are not healing fast enough. You are not broken enough. You are not interesting enough. We used to compare ourselves to people's highlight reels. Now, we are comparing ourselves to their low-light reels. And those too are filtered. The performance of vulnerability has become so refined that many people do not even know they are doing it anymore. They cry, but not until the camera is rolling. They reflect, but only in a caption. They hurt, but only in digestible sound bites. Real vulnerability is messy. It is non-linear. It is often silent, private, and unglamorous. But online vulnerability is none of that. It is strategic. It is controlled. It is monetizable. Let me give you some real-world examples. Take the rise of trauma-dumping influencers. These are creators who consistently share deeply personal stories, abuse, neglect, addiction on a regular basis, often with background music, aesthetic edits, and calls to follow for part 2. Now, do not misunderstand me. Sharing your story can be powerful, healing, and even necessary. But when your trauma becomes content, daily content, it begs the question, who is this really for? Or look at healing journeys. A quick scroll through Instagram will show you people documenting their recovery in real time, complete with staged yoga photos, daily affirmations, and aesthetic smoothie bowls. But behind the scenes, many of these creators are struggling just as much, if not more, than before, because now they feel pressure to maintain the image of someone who is healing, even when they are not. There is also the phenomenon of mental health TikTok. While some of it is genuinely informative, a large portion has become performative. People throwing around diagnoses like they are fashion trends, romanticizing conditions they barely understand, using mental illness as a personality trait. People begin to self-diagnose based on trending symptoms. They believe their sadness must be depression, their anxiety must be a disorder, and they start to mold themselves into the identity that gets validated online. And then there is the influencer apology video genre. We have all seen it: the soft lighting, the hoodie, the sniffles, the script. A perfect performance of remorse, often without real accountability. These videos are not about being sorry. They are about damage control, because now even apologies are content. We have reached a point where every emotion, every experience, every aspect of being human can be turned into a brand. And the scariest part? It works. These videos get views, they get likes, they go viral because they tap into something we all crave: relatability. We want to feel seen, and when someone shares their struggle, we feel connected. But that connection becomes hollow if it is built on performance. It is like fast food for the soul. Tastes good in the moment, leaves you empty after. So what do? Do we stop sharing? Do we stay silent? Do we assume everyone is fake? No, that is not the answer. The answer is discernment. We need to relearn how to spot real from rehearsed. We need to ask better questions about what we consume and why we consume it. We need to be honest with ourselves about our own online behavior. Are we posting to express or to impress? Are we sharing to connect or to compete? Are we being vulnerable, or are we just branding our pain? We also need to create space for real, messy, unfiltered emotion, both online and offline. Spaces where you do not need to be poetic, aesthetic, or articulate to be heard. Spaces where silence is okay, where confusion is valid, where healing does not need a caption. And we need to remember that not everything needs to be shared. Some moments are too sacred, too raw, too personal for public consumption. And that is okay. Privacy is not secrecy. Some things are meant to be yours and yours alone. Look, I get it. We are all trying to survive this hyper-connected world. And sometimes posting is the only way we know how to cope. But we owe it to ourselves and to each other to pause, to reflect, to question. Because if we do not, we risk losing the very thing we are trying so hard to hold on to: our authenticity. You do not have to fake it to be liked. You do not have to bleed for strangers to feel valid. You do not have to turn your life into a trailer to be interesting. You are enough, offline. Now, if you made it this far, that tells me one thing: you are not just scrolling, you are searching for meaning, for honesty, for truth. So here is what I want you to do. First, take a deep breath. Really, do it. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Second, if this video resonated with you, do something different than the usual routine. Instead of hitting like just because you were told to, hit like because you want to say, yes, I see this, I feel this. Instead of subscribing because it is expected, subscribe because you want more content that challenges you to think, not just react. And in the comments, do not just drop an emoji. Tell me what this made you feel. Disagree with me. Challenge me. Share your own story. If you're ready, let us make the comment section the most honest part of the internet today. Because somewhere between the fakes, the filters, and the feeds, real connection still exists. And maybe, just maybe, we can bring it back. One comment, one conversation, one real moment at a time.